So let's talk about what a third eye journey is. So there are 3 eyes to a third eye journey: intention, imagination, and insight. And so the first eye, intention, is, I would say, one of the most important factors of this experience, maybe the most important part, because regardless of what questions you have or any expectations that you come with, the intention is really what guides the entire session. I can feel your intention. Your team, your guides, kind of create an experience around your intention. So before we ever even meet for our session, think about what your intention for this, having this experience, is in the first place, and really focus on that, and just keep it close to your heart and top of mind in the days, weeks leading up to our session together. And so the second part of this is imagination. And this is a really key factor, and a lot of people get confused with what an experience like this is, because they say, I can't be hypnotized, or I'm not a natural born psychic, so I can't, have access to this kind of information. And that's not necessary at all. You don't have to, be in a deep trance of hypnosis or be a natural born psychic in order to access your own information about yourself and your life. So really all it is imagination is intuition. We have just kind of lost sight, lost our understanding that that's the case. And so really it's very simple. These third eye journeys are so easy. Once you get in there, you just have your intention and allow yourself to be like a kid. And it's kind of like a guided daydream where we're just going to go in and use your imagination to explore your own inner world and see what comes up. And I'm going to be there holding space for you and guiding you along the way. And it's really that easy. Some people are natural somnambulists where they go deeper and they channel information and don't remember the session afterwards, and that's fine, but it's completely unnecessary to have a profound experience where you are able to access the information that you need at this time for yourself. So those are the 2 key ingredients that ultimately lead to the third eye, which is insight. And that's regardless of the questions people come with or what their intention is, ultimately we all gain insight from this experience, insight into ourselves, insight into our lives, whatever it is. Ultimately, the whole purpose of having a third eye journey is to gain insight. So those are the 3 eyes, and you can kind of think of it like a mountain that we're climbing. This is the journey that we're going on. Intention plus imagination equals insight. And so along this journey up this mountain, which at the peak is insight, is a few things that we're going to want to put in our backpack for our trip along the way. And so in our backpack, we're going to want to put curiosity, surrender, and reflection. So the curiosity is a really important factor to this, I think, because it allows us to take on a role of almost like being a kid, where we're just allowing ourselves the freedom to explore our inner world like we did when we were children. And a lot of that comes from coming from this place of being curious about ourselves, being curious about our lives, our missions, our work, our relationships. Having that curiosity is a really nice place to come from, and it kind of opens up the doors to allow this experience to unfold more naturally, I think. And so the second thing that you want to put in your backpack is the surrender. And this is, I keep saying every part is important, but they are all really important factors to this. So the surrender is huge because it can be easy. We've been conditioned to believe that we don't have access to this information within ourselves. And so the surrender is so important once you're in this experience, to really allow yourself to let go and trust the information that's coming through. And so a really great example of why surrender is such an important aspect of this process is I have a story of my own personal experience with this in my own session that I had done on me, where my conscious mind really wanted to come through and try to take control of the situation, or thought it had to create something to get the answers that I needed or whatever. And so when she led me into the first experience, I just saw a beach and I was there. And my conscious mind said, no, you're not seeing a beach. Like, that's so cliche. Of course you're at a beach. It's peaceful. And it's just saying things like that. Like, this must, you want to be at a beach. That's all. And I just, surrendered and said, that may be so, but let's go into it anyway. Let's do it anyway. And it ended up unfolding into a beautiful, probably the most profound lifetime I've viewed. Really beautiful lifetime that just so happened to start out at a beach. And after that lifetime, she guided me into another, and all I could see was storming seas. And my conscious mind said, no, you're not in the middle of the ocean with stormy seas around. Why would you possibly be there? And so I said, you know what, maybe it's just because you have to go to the bathroom right now. And so I told her I have to go to the bathroom. And so I went, and as I'm going to the bathroom, all I'm seeing is stormy seas. And so I'm talking to my guides and saying, okay, when I get back, show me what I really need to see. And I lay back down, and all I can see is stormy seas again. And so I said, okay, I'm going to surrender. I'm going to go with it. Stormy seas. And it unfolded, and I was on a pirate ship, and it was another really profound lifetime experience that gave me a lot of insight into the kind of training that I've done as a soul in different lifetimes. So that's kind of an idea of how it works, using allowing yourself to kind of trust this process. Even me, who I've facilitated so many sessions for others, telling them to surrender and let go, my conscious mind still tried to butt in and take control, and that's totally fine. You can just allow yourself to let go again, just continually surrendering and trusting this process. And so the third thing that you want to put in your backpack along this journey is reflection. And so this is mostly coming after your experience, after you have your session. It's really vital to listen to the recording or journal right after it, or even just go somewhere quiet and just meditate on it, or just think about it. Reflecting on it is when the more and more insight comes through. So we have curiosity, we have surrender, and we have reflection. And this creates a never-ending cycle. The curiosity, the surrendering, and the reflection never end. Even after your session, with weeks and months or years after your session, this is a never-ending cycle where new insights can consistently emerge. So it doesn't end just when we say goodbye and your session is over, and it doesn't end after you've listened to your recording and taking notes once. This is something that you'll be continually doing in order to gain newer, deeper understandings of the information that comes through for you. And so an example of how this happened for me is my first session ever that somebody did on me a few years ago. I left, having experienced a past life that, to me at the time, I thought, this is boring. This, is totally irrelevant to me. I don't know why I saw that. It has nothing to do with, my questions. And so I left with that kind of attitude. But over the next year or so of my life, the circumstances that I was going through, I was running a small housekeeping company, and I was just working so hard every day, and I was so exhausted. And this lifetime that I saw had a really profound message in there about slowing down, and it was a lifetime where I was a man who just worked himself to death until the day I died, and it was a very boring, exhausting life. And I didn't even realize at the time that was something that I needed to work on. But anyway, over the next year, or after my session, I ended up looking back and reflecting on that experience, on that lifetime, almost every day as I was working myself so hard. And it became a really powerful reminder to slow down. And it ultimately helped me get out of that situation. And so, I left the session thinking this was a dud, but over a year of reflecting upon it, it ended up being so invaluable. And so those are really the key factors. We're going to go on this journey that starts with intention, imagination, ultimately leads to insight at the peak. And along the way in our backpack, we're going to have some curiosity, some nice childlike wonder and levity. And we're going to have that aspect of surrender, trusting, allowing, trusting the process, trusting yourself, and then reflection, which creates this never-ending cycle of curiosity, surrender, and reflection, which will help you make the most of your experience, where you can gain as much insight as possible, because that's really what we want. We don't want you to show up, have this experience, have this really deep, profound experience, and then just toss it away and never look back on it. We want to gain as much insight and clarity as we possibly can from this experience, from going deep within ourselves. I love this process so much is because we're taught at such a young age that in order to find the answers to the questions about our lives, or find happiness or fulfillment, or insight into our purpose, or whatever it is, that we have to find it outside of ourselves. And so with this experience and with this process, it creates a foundation where you will have the tools to go within and find the answers to everything you need in your life. Literally any aspect of your life, you can explore that. And the more you practice this process, the more in tune you can become with yourself, and the more you'll have access to that information. And so it's like the cliche quote, the famous quote, "The only way out is within." And that's true. All the answers start within. Real insight always starts within. Everything starts within. And when you do this work first, your outside world follows on suit. So, so I'm excited to meet you. And if you feel like this is something that you are ready for, then let's go. Let's pack your bags and let's go on a beautiful journey.